The City Below the Cloud by T.S. Galindo. Read by the author. Chapter 8. The Elevator. I've only been alive for 3 cycles? What happened then? I remember waking up and leaving a unit with Set. I dropped her off at the yards. I can't remember anything else. The next thing was waking up the cycle I lost my tooth. It's almost an entire cycle I'm missing. That must have been when they killed me. Her. How can I remember things from a long time ago, though? I still remember being in the group of kids with Set and leaving with her, and the one before that one, the one that fell apart. That first group was where I went when the adults left me behind. How can I remember all that? How perfect of a copy am I? What was different between then and now? There isn't much to compare things to if I've only been me for 3 cycles, and her for so long. Last cycle I was afraid of being eaten alive by mushrooms. Now I am one. Afraid. There's something. I don't remember being so afraid of the mushrooms before. I never thought about quitting scrubbing before last cycle. Maybe that's just because I had a close call, or what I thought was a close call. I guess it was worse than close if they killed me. Her. But still, she wasn't afraid of the mushrooms. She wasn't afraid of anything. She was always sure what she should do. She knew what was safest and did it. Whatever was safest for Set and her. I remember how much she loved Set, how much I loved her too. I do remember her being afraid once. It was when they, had just left the group and Set got sick. She was frantic for 6 cycles. Set kept coughing and passing out. Then she'd be hot, then cold and sweaty. The real Kalan didn't know what to do. She even tried to mend her, but he just tried to give her some goo to drink. You can't drink that stuff. It'd just stick your insides together, wouldn't it? I don't know now. The monkey said it kills the mushrooms, though. I thought it just stuck things together. She had to leave Set in a unit and go get more charge and food and water. She was scared the whole time, especially when Set wouldn't open the door. I always hated that you can't open them from the outside once they're paid for, but I guess it wouldn't work if anyone could just walk in. She almost broke down the door from pounding on it. She was so relieved when Set woke up and opened it. She must have passed out. Then, when it was all over, and Set got better, I never slept so good. She never slept so good. That fear was different, though. She was worried more than afraid. Worried that something would happen to Set. She definitely wasn't afraid of the mushrooms, though. Why was I so afraid? Is it because they killed me? Her? Maybe I still remember being killed somewhere in my head. I don't think you're supposed to be able to remember your own death. The air in here is stinging my chest, and the light is so intense. I never thought I'd wish for less light. The monkey said humans were the ones who lived in fear, but she never did. I was the one living in fear. Why do I feel fear at all? The mushrooms don't. And I'm supposed to be a mushroom, right? Is that part of the perfect copy too? Why wouldn't they leave that part out? Why does me being in fear serve their mission, my purpose? Purpose. That word. She felt purpose. Set was her purpose. She'd felt it when she first met Set. Some of the other kids found her under the stairs in a unit building, crying and alone. She'd been abandoned, like all of us. Her big eyes, magnified by her held-back tears, looked straight through Kalan. She knew what she wanted then. She wanted to never see this child cry again. She'd do everything and anything for her. I think she saw herself in Set. She knew how that felt, and she wanted to stop it from happening again. That's why she took her away when she saw the group was collapsing. She didn't want Set to be abandoned again. Whenever she made those kinds of big decisions, she felt that purpose again. Is that real purpose, though? Just to protect something? What about Set's purpose? If she never finds purpose, what does that mean for Kalan's? If Set's life ends meaninglessly, does that mean Kalan's was meaningless too? What if Seth's purpose ends up being to protect someone else, and then they protect one other person, and no one actually does anything? It would just be a long line of people pretending at purpose. I don't know if that counts. I think you have to do something for there to be purpose. Otherwise, it's just a lie with a nice feeling. I don't have that same feeling of purpose she felt, though. And they said I'm the one with real purpose. I was created for one specific thing. Isn't that true purpose? Why doesn't it feel like it then? Maybe the monkey doesn't really understand humans as well as it thinks it does. Maybe I don't. I've only been playing at being one for 3 cycles. How much could I really know? This air is getting thicker, or thinner, whichever hurts more. If I breathe a bit more shallow than normal, it stings a bit less. It feels like the elevator's pumping in filtered air. It must be slow or I'd be coughing myself to death. I have all these memories that I know aren't mine. How do I know if they're even real? I didn't actually do any of these things. She did. She loved Seth. She rescued her. She had a childhood. She grew up. I can see everything she did and feel everything she felt as if I was there. But thinking back on her life, I think we're very different people. If I am a person. What makes someone a person? Their experiences? I barely have any, and most of what I remember as experiences aren't mine. It's like I stole her life. What would the real Kalan have done the last couple of cycles? Would she have cowered on the platform while watching the robots execute someone? Would she have been scared of the mushroom creep chasing her, or would she have tried to confront it right away? What about the tear in the suit? What would she have done? How different could we be if we had the same memories? But I have the memory, or the experience of, her death, or the trauma of it. If she had lived through the trauma, would she have done everything as I did it then? Is the trauma what separates us? Is that what determined my reactions in my life? What if I didn't have the trauma? Would I have been a true copy of Kalan? Would I have been as fearless as her? I feel the same as she did, I think. I remember her feelings. I remember the excitement of little things, like when she found the 0 pip. She picked up the pip hanging from her neck and ran her fingers over its face while she probed the real Kalan's memories. It was when she was a kid. She'd just started living with the first group. There were so many kids. The older ones, who tried to keep everyone safe, were so overwhelmed. They sent the younger children out in gangs to steal what they could and bring it back. She found a couple of pips on the ground. It was the first time she'd ever held one in her hand. She was so excited. I even remember how much charge was on them. 40 joules. She didn't wait for the rest of her group. She wanted to show the older kids, so she ran all the way back to the unit building. Then, when she got inside, she saw the elevators. She'd never ridden on an interior elevator before. They were always too expensive. A luxury. She went up to the door and counted out how many floors she had to go up and matched the top pip. Then she dropped it in the slot and waited for the door to open. But it didn't. Not at first. The pip slid into the change slot. She thought she'd counted right. She shouldn't get any change. She thought maybe the elevator was broken and she wouldn't get to ride it. I remember her disappointment. The feelings of fighting back tears and how she thought it was stupid to feel that way. Then the door opened. It was amazing. A tiny room all to herself, with little lights running up the walls just for her. She grabbed the pip from the change slot and ran inside. The door shut quick after her, and the elevator went up, just like this one. She looked down at the pip and then saw it, the 0 on its face. They weren't supposed to give you back empty pips, but she had one. She kept it, and one of the older kids showed her how to tie some string around it so she could wear it. I remember her slight disappointment when she learned it wasn't all that rare. 0 pips showed up every once in a while, mostly ones spent from a prosthetic, but unit doors and elevators didn't usually redistribute them. She still felt like she had something all her own. I remember all that, even how it felt. But is that the same as having lived it? Kalan had vivid dreams all the time, but she hadn't actually lived them. Is that the same as what I'm feeling? Was her life like a dream of mine? But now that I'm awake, what does the dream mean for me? I can feel how she felt when I think about her memories. When I think about leaving the group with Set, I can feel the excitement for a new adventure and the worry of what could go wrong. Excitement and worry. Maybe that's the difference between fear and worry. I never felt excitement in my life, just fear. Maybe fear plus excitement changes the fear, makes it more manageable. Maybe. When else did she feel excitement? The lift jumping games. Those were exciting for her, until they weren't. Then there was fear. Tank screamed and cried like nothing she'd ever heard. They'd all tried to calm him down, but the break was bad. They knew they had to get him to a mender, but they'd just used all their charge on the lift. They picked him up and brought him to one anyway. He blacked out from the pain halfway there. Kalan felt more fear then, fear of losing her friend. She stayed with Tank while the others begged for charge from passers-by. It took them hours before they had enough for the mender. Then, while Tank was still passed out, the mender poured bio-goo over his leg just below the knee. I remember Kalan thinking it was too far away from the break, but the mender wasn't trying to fix the leg. He pulled out a saw and started cutting Tank's leg off along the line of goo. Tank woke up screaming, then passed out again. The mender barely flinched. His one hand is tensed up on the leg when Tank woke up, to stop him from moving. After he'd cut clean through, he put more bio-goo on the stump and told him to go away. It was another 20 cycles of all of them begging, salvaging the yards, and doing whatever task they could before they could get him a prosthetic. They didn't jump out of the platforms anymore, even after he had the new leg. The excitement was gone, and there was only the fear. They all felt it. That's why they stopped jumping. The knowledge of what might happen. That matches what the monkey said, that the humans feared what might hurt them. The number on the door reached 300. Never been this high before. The highest was 100. Wait, no, that was her. Now I'm confused again. The memories feel so real, but they aren't mine. I have to deal with that. That wasn't my life. My life is meant for one thing. Death. Does it have to be, though? Can I choose not to kill someone I've never met? Why would I? Just because they told me it was my purpose? They may have created me, but they don't control me. I won't do it. I can make my own choices. I'll do what I want. What do I want, though? And how can I know what I want if all I have are someone else's memories? Set. She was in my life, too. I have memories of her that are my own. There may not be very many of them, but they're mine. I do still care for her, but is that just because she cared for Set? How do I know what feelings are hers and which are mine? Even if they are her feelings, the only thing I've ever actually cared about in my life is Set. She let out an exasperated sigh and laid down on the floor. Her? Me? What's the difference? Am I just a continuation of her? They said I'm a perfect copy, but how much did they copy? Is her consciousness, her spirit, in me? How much of me is mushroom? Do I owe them for creating me? Do I really have no choice? Should I complete their task just because they created me? What would the real Kalan do? She'd do whatever she had to get back to her family. Family. I guess the mushrooms are my family more than Set is. Should I do whatever I have to protect them? They said they're in danger. My family is in danger. What about Set? What do I owe her? Do I at least owe her the truth? Shouldn't she know her Kalan is gone? That she's never coming back? Even if I accept that the mushrooms are my family, I still feel like Set is my family too. I want to be with her, even if it's only for the short time I have left. What would I tell her, though? That I'm a monstrous copy of Kalan that's going to die in 3 cycles? Would she accept me then? Or would she hate me for what I am? Could I even go back? The monkey didn't say anything about what happens after I kill for them. Maybe they'll let me go if I do what they want. Then I can go back. The number on the door stopped changing. It stayed on 388, but the elevator was still moving just as fast. Why does this air hurt me so much? I feel like I'm getting used to the stinging, but it feels like it's getting worse, too. She got up and started pacing around while she continued to think. I should prepare myself. I've never killed anyone before. Neither had she. What if the monkey was lying, though? What if they tried to make a copy and it failed and that's what I saw? How can I be sure? There's the tooth. It came out without any blood. Does that mean I don't have blood? And what about the stun baton? That could have just been a faulty baton, though. It doesn't prove anything. How can I know for sure? She sat down, took off one of her boots, wrestled a sharp piece of metal from her harness, and put the edge against her smallest toe, then paused. The weight of the blade on her toe scared her. She wondered if there'd be pain, and thought about the pain she felt with the tooth. Then took a quick stinging breath in and jammed the edge into her toe. The blade cut easily and smoothly, but there was no blood. She kept sawing in a fervor. There was a little pain, but not nearly what she expected. The metal hit bone and she kept going. It was only slightly tougher than the skin. Finally she made it through. Her toe dangled from the rest of her foot lifelessly. There was no blood, and she'd sawn straight through the middle of the bone. She cut it off and examined the cross-section. It looks human enough, but the colors are strange. They're muted, bland. As far as I can tell, anyway. This light is intense. Everything looks so strange and crisp. There's no blood, though. There should definitely be blood. When Tank's leg was cut off, there was lots of blood. The realization caught up with her all at once, and the toe terrified her. She dropped it and kicked it across the elevator into a corner. She didn't want to believe it, but there was no doubt now. She wasn't human. Her decision to go back after everything seemed so far away now. No matter how I feel about Set, I can't go back. I'm not human. What if I decay into a fibrous mess in front of her? I can't do that to her. I can't go back. It's better if she just thinks Kalan died while out looking for charge. That is what happened. She just got to see her one last time before she was gone. Like seeing a ghost just after someone dies. That's what I am. A ghost. A remnant of Kalan. I'll go back to the monkey after I finish this mission. I'll go back and lay down next to Kalan's corpse and wait for the end. I died there once. Maybe I should die there again. The numbers started changing again. She wondered how much longer she'd have to wait. She didn't like the elevator. It was too clean and too bright. It made her feel exposed. She stared at the toe on the floor. That's all I am. Just a hunk of mushroom waiting to fall apart. How could they create something just to let it live a scared, short life, then let it die? It's cruel. They create me just to do what they want, and then discard me? My life isn't even my own then. It's theirs. What makes theirs more important than mine, or Kalan's? Why should I do what they say? Because they created me? Because they killed me? No, I won't do it. I'll just stay in the elevator until it goes back down. What are they going to do? Kill me again? The elevator started slowing down and the numbers flashed. 575. The elevator door descended. Kalan looked out and immediately forgot about staying in the elevator. Awed, she walked out.